we give for granted that surgery needs to be extraordinary, but it is much more than surgery. That's why if you want to feel totally embraced in something totally different, of course, counting with the best possible surgery, you should come to Facialteam. But I know it has a price. Of course, it has a price.
Welcome to the Joy Tuck Club, the podcast that celebrates the beauty and diversity of transgender individuals and identities. I'm Rachel, my pronouns are she, her, and with me is my wife and co-host, Phoebe. What are we doing today, Phoebes?
We're smoothing our brows, opening our occipitals, and simultaneously transplanting several thousand hairs while we chat with the co-founder of Facialteam, the brilliant and wonderfully down-to-earth Dr Luis Capitán, about his life, work, and the future.
It sounds like we need to put on our game faces.
We do. It's a big interview. But first, a quick bio. Dr. Capitán is a specialist, first and foremost in oral and maxillofacial surgery, and has a career spanning over 2 decades. And he's probably best known to the trans community as the co-founder and somewhat reluctant face of Facialteam, the world's leading group specializing in feminizing facial surgery, or FFS.
After earning his medical degree and completing his surgical residency in Granada, he became something of a globetrotter, honing his craft in Barcelona, Wales and beyond.
And since 2007, he's performed over 2,000 FFS procedures, pioneered groundbreaking techniques along the way, and, in his spare time, penned a few game-changing medical publications.
But before we get on to the interview, let's just say a big thank you to Facialteam for allowing us to speak to their surgeons and for including us in the second gender-affirming healthcare forum in London last year in November.
Last year?
Yeah.
I got to say, it's been quite the honour to be granted such access to world-class surgeons and heavy hitters in the field of gender-affirming care, and it's absolutely invaluable to our upcoming book, How to Transition, and to this, the Joy Tuck Club.
This is actually the third interview in our current series.
The first one was about vocal surgery with Dr. Chadwan Aliachi, and the second was, of course, the corresponding part on voice therapy with Cristela Antoni.
They are, of course, available in the usual places and well worth a listen if you haven't yet.
Yeah, we've covered a lot of ground, but, in this interview, one of the things that really stood out for me when you break it all down is that the face is considered to have 3 main regions. There's the upper or the forehead.
Well, Dr. Capitán is the brow boss.
He is. Oh my gosh. And then there's the middle, which is the nose and surrounding tissues, and the lower, which is the jaw down to the tracheal area. And one thing I think is good to realize is that all the surgeons at Facialteam specialize in just one of those areas. And they do that to become the best they possibly can while participating in research and pushing the boundaries of what can be done. And you can't do that if you're all over the place. And I guess there's the fourth area, which is the hair transplants, but that's another area handled by a different specialist, but in the same operating room.
This turned into talking about the need for standardisation and 3D printed guides so that procedures can be performed by any member of the surgical team dedicated to that area, which then provides greater flexibility in scheduling surgeons and surgeries.
Yeah, we also talked about why Facialteam doesn't do surgery on trans masc patients, delved into the ethics of aesthetics, the avoidance of visible scarring, and took a look to the future of their foundation.
And also a question that's key: will they be impacted by the restrictions on trans healthcare coming into force almost everywhere, it seems? We really did cover a lot of ground.
Yeah, we did. Before we start, just a side note, when Dr. Capitán refers to Danny, he's speaking about Dr. Daniel Simon, who's the other Facialteam co-founder. And you'll be hearing from him with answers to lots of other questions in an upcoming podcast very soon.
Well, I think that's enough talking about it. We'll let you listen to it for yourself, with a quick excuse, as it was recorded on a single channel and the recording literally jumps straight into the first question.
It does. Are you ready? All right, you're going to feel a sharp scratch. Relax, count backwards from 10, and we'll see you in the recovery room. What brought you to this career?
Well, it's let's say a long story. I decided to study medicine, which is an amazing career. When you are in medicine, you rapidly noticed if you are more towards medical things or surgical things. And very quickly I understood that surgical things was my thing, because I like to work with my hands, and I like to I like to be a proactive person. And I thought that through surgery, my opportunity to be more proactive and to help better, it could work. Then in Spain, when you finish medicine, you made an exam called MIR. Depending on your qualification, you can choose not only your specialty, but also the hospital you want to make the specialty in. I don't have a bad one. I didn't have a super good one, but it was okay. And I was in between 3 different specialties: traumatology, plastic surgery, and maxillofacial. I was a boy, and I didn't know nothing about one of the 3. So it was a difficult decision. So 5 minutes before my turn to choose the specialty and the hospital, in a very long queue in the Ministry of Health in Spain, in Madrid, you know what I did? I escaped the queue and I called my aunt. My aunt is a general surgeon in a small town in Spain, and is the brother of my father, and he's a very good guy, good one. I mean, he's super. And I asked him, Tito, what should I take? So is traumatology, plastic, or maxillofacial? And he said, you know, maxillofacial is something very new. It's something very recent. There is no background, but I feel that it is a nice specialty. And this is what I decided, okay, I'm going to hear him. I'm going to listen to him. And I did what my uncle suggested. And this is how I became a maxillofacial surgeon. And I fell in love with the specialty. It's a super nice one. It's super nice.
Is your uncle still with us?
Yeah, he's with us.
He must be very, very pleased with his suggestion.
He's very pleased. And he knows very well that he was part of the history. It was a super nice advice. So, and then during the specialty, you understand what do you like, what you don't like, what you would like to be focused in. Because it's a so long career that you have time to understand what is better for you, where you can contribute better. And this is how things, worked in life. You take some things and you refuse some other. Yeah.
But could you tell us about forehead surgery and why you were drawn to that as a specialty?
It wasn't so easy. So, at the very beginning, it was Danny and me, and we were both doing everything and everything from scratch. When I say from scratch, it's literally from nothing, because, it was a few surgeons around the planet, everyone doing, let's say, what they understand that it was correct to do, but there wasn't any clear guideline or protocol or something to follow. And then it started from scratch, allow us to understood that it was everything to be built, because it was starting from zero. And this was a huge opportunity in life to start something from zero. It was something crazy. With the pass of the years, since we understood also that or we train people or it's too much for us, we split our duties. And Danny, he's extremely good in intraoral surgery for his background, and let's say I'm better in open surgery. So jaw surgery is a super reduced surgical field. You need to be working there, and this is super nice for Danny, super good for Danny. I prefer open fields, and forehead was my thing, and this is why we decided to split, to allow us to improve something very specific and to allow us to train our junior surgeons. This is why.
Yeah. Wow. I want to talk about Facialteam and the business a little bit later. So today, you've been at the forefront of so much, but today when patients come to you, Do you ever find they have an unrealistic expectation of what FFS can do for them?
This is a super good question. I would say that it's becoming better and better.
Yeah.
Probably surprisingly, or I don't know, but it's not only the profile of our patient, what is totally changing. That what I see nowadays is people with feet on earth. So this is very good. And people with, let's say, very good information, good knowledge about what FFS is, and also common sense to understand what they can expect. If you put all this together and we help them with the decision, giving honest, objective information, we use other instruments like a virtual surgery, that is a super good instrument to level expectations. I would say that 90% of our patients, they know what they are expecting and they agree what it is. Because, I mean, this is not sci-fi, this is not mystery, this is not adventure, it's pure objective surgery. And so the more information they have, I think the better prepared they are to take the decision.
Right. How do you ensure they have that information? Is it through the consultations and...
It's not only because we are trying to give everything, because there's a lot of information around. And of course, you can find fake or false information. But normally, if you go to, let's say, good sources of information, that like scientific literature or, let's say, serious websites, normally now they know what FFS is.
Yeah.
It's true that we are... Our goal, Danny, and I'm talking from also on behalf of Danny, that our goal is to do the best possible surgical techniques in the planet.
Yeah.
So it's true that we are constantly implementing new things like the surgical guide, like always operating with 3-dimensional scanner, like using ultrasonic technology. So all what we can offer, we do. And it's something that is constant for us. It's kind of an internal rule to provide the best. I know that this is something not everybody can follow, but our mission and also our vision is to put facial feminization in the very top. And this is how, in my opinion, things should be. Because at the end, you let people know that even this very small discipline can be performed in a super high level.
Yes. Yeah. Dr. Simon described it as, that it was a new field, essentially, and how rare it is. As a surgeon, you could pick a specialty that is in free ground and you can build there and develop.
This is a nice one, Lilia, that we had the amazing opportunity to contribute in the new standard of care. The last version was in 2011. And now last year, it came the last version. And we had the opportunity to be authors of the facial chapter. So this is a way to put over the table where the technology, where the limits of surgery are. So this was, again, a huge opportunity for us to be part of this standard of care, number 8. Yeah.
Do you have a comment for those who suggest that WPATH is a biased document?
Well, do you know the world we are living and we are facing? I mean, we are more and more separated, and unfortunately, common sense is nowadays the less common thing in the planet. At the end, the point is that we are gonna hear many crazy things in days to come, but at the end, WPATH is a professional association. Of course, we can do things wrongly, but at least we are led by very objective and honest things like science, like care of our patients. So, of course, people is going to criticize WPATH, but I think we should remain very strong in regards to pursue our goal. And our goal is to elevate our voice through all the noise we are constantly hearing. I tell you, I don't care. I care because I know that this can bring violence and many negative things. And this is something that, of course, worry me. But we shouldn't lose our ultimate goal. And if everyone has cleared the ultimate goal, we will survive.
Yeah. Nice. Good answer. Right, let's bring it back to the surgery. There are risks with every surgery, but could you tell us what the most commonplace complications are with FFS?
In general or per procedure? Wow.
In
general.
Let's say that what we have discovered in all these 15 years is something really amazing to me as a doctor, as a surgeon, is the degree of reliability and predictability of the surgery. In my opinion, one of the most predictable and reliable surgeries you can face, which is something amazing. I mean, of course, you have specialties like ophthalmology or like traumatology. Certain parts of traumatology, they are very reliable and very predictable. It wasn't so common in facial surgery, but facial feminization has shown that it's a very predictable surgery, which means that we know with a higher percentage what we can expect from the surgery and from the outcome. And this is something, wow, super nice, not only for us, but mainly for patients, okay? Because let's say we cannot control everything what is going to happen. Complications will arise, side effects will arise, but let's say we know that the number is going to be very under control. So we can say that in general, and I'm throwing you a very high number, we can say that complications will always remain down to 5%. I'm saying 5% because I'm including nose complications. That is the specialty that, as you know, it has bigger number of complications. But if we put everything together, we know that complications are below 5 to 4%, which is, in my opinion, a very good number.
Absolutely.
Talking about, sorry, Rachel, talking about complication per procedure is much more complicated because, I mean, every procedure can give dozens of different complications. But the question is how frequent these complications are. How often do we see this complication? If you want, let's say, a specific information of a complication, we are creating the Data Have project. Is a project where we are going to make public all of our experience in terms of how many complications we have dealt with, how we have solved them, what is the number of percentage of complication per procedure, with a very honest and totally open information for patients. I think this is going to be a critical change for us in a good way.
You have incredible data collection, and so all of that helps feed into the R&D side of Facialteam, and then making that information public as well. It's great for the industry and great for patients.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would go even further than this, because our main problem right now is how we can contrast and analyze this huge amount of information. And this is something that I have constantly on my mind. I know is a, let's say negative thing of having so much information. But as you know, we are in the AI era, and we are trying to implement all these new sources and tools to help us to understand and to analyze and to create new protocols within our database. That, I mean, 2 years ago, we were totally lost about how we can deal with this amount of information. We are talking about thousands and thousands of images of a CT scanner.
Yeah.
How can you deal with that?
Mm-hmm.
You can deal with that only if you have something like artificial intelligence. So at the end, everything comes together.
You need the services of a data scientist, I think, to unearth
This is
revelations from the data set.
exactly. You know.
What are the most common questions then that patients ask, and does any of this data help to answer them in advance?
Probably one of the most frequent question is about complications and about revision policy. At the end, remember something very important, and you are a living example, Phoebe. I mean, you are coming to a place far away from your home, far away from your family, far away from your friends, with a different language, with a different culture, different food, different everything. I mean, and we need to create this atmosphere of embracing you and making you feel sure and protected. So the only way we can transmit confidence is by being totally honest and transparent. This is what we can do. This is what we offer. This is our skills. We don't deny we have complications. We don't deny we have revisions. We have them, and we will have them. But nobody will be surprised if we say that we are doing medicine and surgery. We are not doing, mathematics or physics. We are doing surgery with real patients. So let's say complications is part of this life. Yeah. But what our duty is to reduce at maximum the level of complications and to provide an atmosphere, an ambient of protection and security. And this is what we try to do every day.
Yeah.
So we've touched on questions that patients ask, but is there anything that you wish that they would ask you that they don't often ask? Like what would you say should be the number one questions that people are asking you?
You know that there is no a standard profile of patient. You find patients that, as I said, they are very worried about complications or about revision policy. There are patients that they are, let's say, more worried about logistics, where we don't have a lot to contribute in terms of logistics, because it's something that is very on the coordinator hand. So there are patients that they are super curious about numbers and about experience. You have patients that they are curious about who is going to perform the surgery. So there's no a standard way of being or of asking, of interacting. Normally, I try to help my patients because at the end, I have experience with an Skype consultation or a Skype interaction. Patients, they don't. Normally, for many of them, it's the first time they do a face-to-face meeting with a doctor. They are kind of lost. So that's why my opinion is that we have to guide them through the different stages they need to go through, so they don't lose any important thing. So I start in a very general way because I like very much leave them talk, because at the end they need to express themselves. Why are they here? When did they start? What are they doing? What they have done? How the family support is? So let's say to have a general picture of the patient and to leave them to express. And then I like to guide them through the different questions, because many of them, they don't know how it works. They don't know even what to ask. So I have but I don't know if this is a secret, but I like to ask very much, like what Phoebe sees when she looks to the mirror, but not for the bad thing, but what does she like, what she doesn't like, what she would like to change if possible. So this is a way to understand where they are in terms of what they feel with their face, what they dream to change, how realistic their expectations are. So at the end, listening to my patients is the secret weapon to make a good consultation.
Well, I didn't come in with any expectation except that there would be a removal of what had happened to me through the wrong puberty. And I didn't even have a picture.
But this is the secret, Phoebe. You said it all. This is the secret. I mean, but unfortunately, it's not so clear for everybody.
Yeah. My beautiful revelation, I shared this with Dr. Simon as well, was looking, Dr. Linga was looking in the mirror afterwards, after most of the swelling had gone down, and suddenly seeing me and going, oh my God, I was there all along. I just didn't realize. It was just
beautiful.
wild. It was just poof.
Yeah. You said everything. I mean, this is the controversial thing about, are we in front of aesthetic surgery or a functional surgery or a reconstructive surgery? Is a debate even among specialists, that many surgeons, it's not clear for them that this is a functional reconstructive surgery that theoretically has nothing to do with aesthetics. But it's true that normally a patient after feminization, they look better.
Yeah.
But this is something that is not the main goal of the surgery. It's a secondary effect of the surgery that is totally different. Because you described very well what testosterone did in my face, how it affected my structure, how we can address or remove this overdevelopment. Yet maintaining the core identity, yet maintaining the naturality, yet maintaining all the things that are not related to gender. So as far as a patient has this clear, is a victory.
Yeah, we're going to be spreading that message in the book too. If that's the goal, then there's no ethical questions either. There's no, well, you're doing this for aesthetics, not for dysphoria, that sort of thing. But
it's extremely clear. I mean, because this is, again, is another hot topic.
Yes.
Because I know, what are we treating? Are we treating a condition? Are we treating a disease? Are we treating a cosmetic problem? What are we treating?
Yes.
This is something extremely important that normally is nobody talks about. Yeah. What are we dealing with? Are we in front of patients, or are we in front of normal people that they want to look better? Or are we in something more complicated that is probably a mix of everything?
Yes.
Is a pregnant woman an ill woman, or is a normal woman with a specific condition during a part of her life? So these are very basic questions we should answer in feminization that normally nobody talks about.
Are the answers in the data?
Probably yes.
Can we go back to Facialteam as a business? You're looking at a 70 headcount next year, which is just extraordinary. But when you started, I know there's always the incredible scariness. Okay, I'm going to start a business. Do I have any customers? Or did you have a customer first, a patient, and start the business? Chicken egg.
Exactly. I mean, again, we go back. We go to 2006. By the end of 2006, 2007, I met Danny, and I met Danny here in Marbella. I was doing general maxillofacial, like heading a small department in Marbella, and Danny Simon crossed in my life. It's like the train that crosses, and I like the train. Wow, this train is going faster. It's going well. I like it, and I took the train. But again, we knew nothing about FFS. But it's true that we decided to change our life because FFS. We bet on FFS. This is something that is, I mean, nobody can deny that this was what it happened. Okay, that wasn't any business. I mean, remember, by the force we turned into businessmen, but we are not businessmen. We are doctors, and we are. I tell you, we are terrible businessmen. We are. It's true. We are surrounded by brilliant people like Lilia. We are surrounded by brilliant managers, by brilliant directors. We are, one day I read it. I cannot say it's something I read, that are you a CEO? That is, it's kind of, everybody likes to be the CEO. And the answer was, no, I'm not a CEO. I am a CBO. What a CBO is a Chief Vision Officer. So Danny and me, we put vision. We put where we would like to go. But we are a disaster as, as general managers, as business. We are not businessmen, but we are people with a clear path to follow, with a clear mission. And it's true that we know how to lead people. This is a fact.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what was first, patience or business? I would say patience and intentions.
Yeah. Well, and of course, once you get to a certain size, the role of CEO is all about management of the business. Unless you're a business person through and through, it's no longer following your passion.
Yeah. Here, I think here combines both things. Again, we are here, because right now I should be wearing my pajama and I should be operating. But I know that if I am the whole day operating, I cannot bring and many other things that the business requires.
Yeah.
So that's why Daniel and myself, we split. And it's a difficult position because at the end we have been made to operate and we like to operate and we know we are good operating. But I think we are also good shaping ideas and shaping the future of the company.
Yes.
So that's why we need to be divided. It's kind of Mr. Jekyll,
And back in those early days when you first started out, did you ever imagine that you would become so successful and your business would grow so much to the success that it's already achieved?
No. But I can tell you, and I promise that I would like people to check and to see how my daily life is. Because I wouldn't say it's a dichotomy, but when I'm not here, Lilian knows that very well. We are totally family men. I'm a family man, so I really like to be in a very low level position because again, I have not been made to be a super public person. I know that here I'm exposed, but I know that I have a role to do here. I have a role to play here. I like to be the leader together with Danny of this group, and I like to be a reference for patients. And this is something I love and I like it. But let's say it has nothing to do with my personal life. This is my professional mission, my professional life mission. But at the end, everybody needs to split a bit. Otherwise, I would say, Phoebe, Rachel, this is too much. This is a lot. To carry all this here, sometimes very, very difficult. So you need to separate a bit. Otherwise, it would be, Lilia knows, totally impossible.
I think we're going down to the best leaders of those who don't want to be.
Well, exactly. I was just thinking exactly.
Well, yeah.
The people who want to be in power shouldn't be in power.
No, they're doing it for ego, not for anyone else.
Yeah,
this is great.
I like it. This is very Spiderman. I love comics, and this is very Spiderman. So, but it's true that I think it was something like power comes with the responsibility. Superpower comes with the responsibility.
Yeah. Great power, great responsibility.
Great power, exactly. So, at the end, we have decided nobody put a gun on our heads. So we have decided that, and we need to go. We have to go.
Yeah. Well, we're going to get onto the fun R&D stuff in a moment, but I've got one question that I think will be useful and to get out there. Why should someone pick Facialteam over the cheaper options out of other parts of the world? I
like very much when a patient tell me that. Why should I go with Facialteam instead of staying here? Do you know why? Because in my opinion, it has nothing to do with surgery. So, and normally people look at me like, what are you saying? What is that about? Why? Because we give for granted that surgery needs to be extraordinary. And this is something mechanical. This is something objective. And I would say it's something that even can be reproduced in many places around if they do things right. But it is much more than surgery. It's from the very initial conversation to the very final checkup 3, 4, 5 years later. So this word of care is Facialteam. And in my opinion, nobody is giving that so far. Maybe someone will do it in the future. Maybe someone in China or someone will understand that it's nothing to do about surgery. It's nothing about surgeons. It's all around a different thing. But fortunately, nobody realized that to the moment. That's why if you want to feel totally embraced in something totally different, of course, counting with the best possible surgery, you should come to Facialteam. But I know it has a price. Of course, it has a price.
Segueing into the last section of this interview, of course, anyone going with Facialteam gains the benefit of your world-class frontier R&D. And what techniques are you most proud of?
Let's say I'm super proud, first, of the evolution. If you analyze the evolution, and well, the secret I have for you is that I would love to write a book, because I think we should write a book. We have so many beautiful things to tell. Yeah. So if you see the evolution of the surgery, something unbelievable from a technical point of view, okay? We have assisted to different game changers in the whole thing. I mean, remember, when we started, nobody was considering not doing an incision following the hairline. Today, most of the surgeons, they are still doing this crazy thing.
Yeah, why?
Don't know.
Yeah.
It was super clear for us. Come on. Yeah. Okay, you're changing a super horrible bossing for a super horrible scar.
Yeah.
Where's the point? So since I tell you why, and it has a medical explanation. Who was performing FFS to the date? Plastic surgeons.
Yeah.
Normally, and it's not their fault, of course it's not. Normally, the relation of plastic surgeons with bone is very limited during their training, except in some regions, very concrete, specific regions. But normally, they are not related with bone. Okay. What happened with us? During our training, one of the most common things we performed was attending car accidents in the time where there wasn't airbag. So every car accident, the patient shocked directly with the wheel. Not with the wheel, with the, with the... How is it? Sorry?
Steering wheel.
Exactly. So it was destruction of the face. So, and this was every single week, 2 patients. So how can you reconstruct all this? Always through a coronal approach. So it was something coming from our basic training that from the very beginning, we understood that if you want to work here, you don't do a hairline approach. You do a coronal and you hide the incision totally within the hair. I mean, it was something very obvious, but the problem was obvious for whom?
Yeah.
Because the feminization was at that time in hands of the plastic surgeons. So this is one kind of the first changes we proposed. Then it came that we developed the super posterior, and we were the first group describing the posterior. Then another super game changer was taking the strip to do transplant simultaneously. That, in my opinion, if you ask me what the best thing we've ever is, that thing is, I mean, crazy for me. That you can do a transplant following a coronal approach. Yeah. In many scientific people and in many doctors, it was something impossible, and we proved that it was possible. then the use of ultrasonic technology, the use of guides. So again, it's kind of the evolution. So following the evolution is super beautiful. Because
how did you know it would work out? So I can understand that you could practice on a cadaver, removing a larger strip to use for the transplant. But I mean, I remember the feeling that tightness that lasted for quite a long time. It wasn't a terrible feeling, but it was very unusual. How did you know that it would get better on patients?
when you do something for the first time,
Yeah.
you need to take the risk. And unfortunately, the patient will take the risk.
Yeah.
But I mean, at the end, you check data and you check what has been done to the moment. And to the moment, the coronal was proof that it was a reliable approach.
Yeah.
So what's the difference between doing it here and doing it here? There is no much difference at the end.
Yeah.
It's true that I tell you, my main worry was not about the feeling, the sensation, because I knew that it was something that probably will recover with time. It was the first time that someone was doing it, and we took the risk.
Yeah.
And I explained the patient there is a chance that we stop the surgery because we cannot do it. But it turned out that we could.
Like peeling a balloon off a bowling ball.
Exactly. But again, Phoebe, if it's the first time you are doing it, you don't have a clue about how it's going to be. It's just that you bet and you think it's going to work. Unfortunately, it worked.
Cool. So you mentioned the evolution of surgery. Is there more evolution to come, or do you think you've reached the pinnacle of FFS? Do you think you're kind of where you need to be, or do you think there's more improvements to come?
Of course, there are more improvements to come. Many more improvements. In what sense? I would say first, number of procedures. I'm a strict believer that generations to come will need less number of procedures. Why? Because not all the procedures, they have the same impact. And since this is something related to, unfortunately, a financial problem in many things, normally we make a strong recommendation to prioritize the list of procedures. I mean, of course, if you can do everything, amazing. But if you don't, what procedure would you choose? Try to choose the one that is going to impact more your gender recognition. We are living the artificial intelligence, so things will come. And I tell you, it's difficult to tell you what is going to come. I have some idea. Right now, I'm going to give you an example, Rachel. We are operating more and more revisions, not from Facialteam, but from many other centers. Because we are seeing that the lack of consistency and the lack of experience in certain places are bringing problems to patients. So we are dealing with really bad problems, with really bad problems in the forehead, with total resorption of the anterior wall, with total sinus exposure. And now we are trying to plan the surgery prior to the proper surgery, because since we need to take normally parietal grafting, we are creating surgical guides that tell us exactly the amount of bone we need. This bone will be totally adapted to the region to cover. These are things that wasn't exist till today. And now we are again implementing and discovering them. So of course, that we have things to do in the future.
Do you ever see automation taking over some of the surgery? So if you're doing all this 3D planning, and creating surgical guides, then could not a robot do some of it?
I don't think so. I have a strong feeling that it's something that I won't see it. I don't know if my kid will see it, but you know why? I will tell you why.
Yes.
It's my opinion. Sorry. Sometimes I feel that I have the truth. No, I have my opinion. technology that succeed and technology that spread away. Why is that? Why we have a phone or why we have AirPods? Because they create a technology that is affordable to a high percentage of population. So when you reduce the cost of the technology is spread away. This is a rule for technology. Why now the common artificial intelligence are working around? Because it's very cheap. Everybody can access to ChatGPT or to any other. What is the cost to have a robot making surgery? It's impossible.
No.
How many robots do you need to reduce the cost of the robot worldwide? It's not possible. So we will have tools around that will make the surgery better, easier, more efficient. But replacing hands is something that, I tell you something. There is no robot in the planet that can put your washing machine. And it's something easy, right? It's just putting the dishes and putting the glasses. There is no robot doing it. Why? Because it's not easy. It's expensive. Making surgery, I think, is gonna something that maybe we will see in 30 years, but not in the next 10 years.
Yes, you won't be replaced by robot hands.
Maybe.
So, what's next for Facialteam?
These are a super nice question. We are in the middle of construction of Nagoi. So Nagoi is going to be the place where we are going to really do what we know how to do it, is take care of the patient. And so this is going to be, in my opinion, how we can close the cycle of care by creating Nagoi. Okay. This is going to happen probably in 2026. Okay. We could say that in 2026, we can be in the top of our potential of a surgical center. As you know, in business, there is no way to stay totally plateau. Or you go up or you go down. So if we reach our plateau, what's next? It's a good question. We have different projects and different things over the table. Time will say, but probably, to give you a light idea, my wish would be that we can spread the protocol, the system that we have created all around the planet.
Through accreditation, Facialteam University,
license, whatever, training. So there are many beautiful things that can be done. So because here at the end we can operate what we can operate. We can operate a number. If we get to this number, very good. If we don't get to this number, this would be the goal. But if we reach this number, what's next? There are things over the table. Time will say. I hope you will see it. No franchise. I don't like it. I don't like it. This is not McDonald's. No. You didn't know about the foundation? This was another nice dream Danny and myself we had, and now it's a reality. Because you know what? I don't want to bore you. Do we have time?
No chance.
Okay. The point that it was very clear for us that the foundation should be something giving surgery for free. It's kind of logic. We operate, and unfortunately we cannot reach everybody, and we know that 90% of our patients around the planet, they don't have access to funds or to money that can cover the surgery. We should operate free. But after many years trying to give it shape, we came to the conclusion that it was impossible. Who established the limits? Who are the patients that are going to be benefits from the surgery? Why them? Is something national? Is something international? It was very complicated. So we changed our mind totally. And we decided that the goal and and the ultimate goal of the foundation was to help the community. I mean, there's a huge community that it needs help. You need to make the community more visible. You need to give a strength to the community. You need to give power. You need to give voice. So if we can do that through a strong and solid center like Facialteam, this is the foundation. So the foundation has been created to empower the community.
I'd love to dive into that with you as well, but I understand that it's still coming together and you've built the platform and let's see where it grows. Is it a case of it gets pulled in the direction that's needed?
To me, if you mean to the foundation is kind of something super open, totally flexible, is a real living thing.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, we can reach any potential project that will benefit the community, whatever it is. Some are artistical project, some educational project, some scholarship project. I mean, because if we reduce to surgery, we are wrong. We are going to help a very limited number of patients around. Yeah. But if we can help really the community, then it's clear, isn't it?
Yes.
Anyway, it's difficult. I tell you, it's difficult because, I mean, we are still understanding how we can do it. Because at the end, you know, a foundation, it lives from what it lives, from donations. So we need to make this system of donation like honest, transparent. At the end, who donate? Big corporation, big business. As you know, we are facing we started the conversation there, a very tough period where, I mean, are we going to ask money to Elon Musk? Probably not. I mean, you know what I mean. So
thank you.
So but again, remember, we will survive. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Do you think that's going to have an impact on your business? Do you think like do you get a lot of people from America, and if they're not allowed to transition, do you think that impacts you?
I tell you, Rachel, being selfish, I think is going to impact positively. Being selfish. Why? Because, I mean, we can become kind of the oasis in the planet where transgender people are so welcome that they will find here what they cannot find in America. So in a selfish thinking way, it's positive. In a macroeconomical sphere, it's negative. I mean, because again, it's always the same. The world is being split.
That's an interesting way to put it, Oasis, because I know a lot of trans girls who just want somewhere they can go, even for a while, as a respite, so they can be themselves in safety. We hope to one day create some sort of housing, some accommodation, which can
like a trans retreat.
Yeah.
That was one of the goals. When you asked me around new projects, this is a clear new project for us. And I will give you just an idea. I mean, we have been operating patients from the last 15 years. I started operating when I was in my early 30s. Now I'm close to my 50s. So I'm getting older. My patients, they are getting older. And the trans patients, they have a special medical needs. So Nagoy, forget the surgery. Nagoy can be the place for the trans community to come for a special medical trans revision. Like there are many things special for the trans patient, and this can be something also interesting for Nagoy. So if you ask me, do we have projects over the table? Yes, we have projects over the table.
Is Nagoya going to be just for your patients to recover, or are people going to be able to come there as an escape from everywhere?
Initially, I mean, the main goal is our patients.
Yeah.
And if we go to a second step, will be just for trans patients.
Yeah.
Trans patient or the trans community. We want to be the first hotel in the planet for the trans community. But I think it would be the first.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. Well, thank you for this interview and thank you for changing my life.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. I mean, you changed your life. It was your decision. I mean, we were just instruments. You are the one.
Thank you.
Very good.
What a great interview, even if it ended a bit abruptly due to another meeting.
Yeah, it was. And Dr. Capitán was lovely. Thank you to Lilia for organising the interview and ensuring the timing worked out amongst some very busy schedules.
I forgot. We didn't ask him what his favourite movie is and why is it Face Off.
Oh, I wish you had have. But anyway, we should wrap things up before we get more egg on our face.
Probably for the best.
So that is a wrap, an egg roll for this episode of the Joy Duck Club. We want to thank you, our listeners, for tuning in and being part of our community. We hope you learned a lot from this, and if you want to connect with us further, ask us questions, give us suggestions, please visit our website, redandfreckles.com, where you can keep up to date on all things red and freckly.
You can also follow us on Blue Sky, Threads, Instagram and Facebook, but not Twitter. We use the handle @2damptrans, all words, no numbers, on all platforms, and you can DM us if you have any questions or topics you'd like us to discuss.
And don't forget to subscribe and rate us on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, or wherever you listen to podcasts. We're on all the popular platforms now.
And even some of the unpopular ones too.
We appreciate your feedback and support.
So until next time, remember you are valid.
You are beautiful.
And you are transcending boundaries.